Hello everyone, Lore Master of Sotek here. Hope you're all doing very, very well this day. It should be Monday when y'all are seeing this, so I am going to get caught up, you might have been able to tell by the thumbnail, on all of the Tamurkhan news, as we kind of got like the last elements of everything building up to his campaign with his start position and a bunch of other stuff. So I'm going to be going over all that information to just kind of see all the goodies and give my thoughts on it, my impressions and all that. And then we'll dive into whatever this week has for us, starting tomorrow and such. So without further ado, let's talk about Tamurkhan. And one thing I would appreciate from y'all is I have been messing around with the settings on my camera a bit to try and make it where I am not like horribly blinding to look at. I'm not like the second coming of an angel, to the extent that I was literally burning people, including my own, people's retinas out when there would be like a white screen on my PC. So I've been messing around with it a bit. Let me know if it's better or worse. I would really appreciate y'all's feedback, but without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the goodies. So we're going to start with focusing on the start positions for Tamurkhan on Realm of Chaos and Immortal Empires. So in Realms of Chaos, they tell us that Tamurkhan is going to be starting in the Writhing Fortress in the Blood Marshes, which is, pretty much dead smack middle of the map, up north, just south of where the Realms of Chaos begin. So where you kind of have that ocean of impossible to travel space. And honestly, looks like a pretty good spot. The Realm of Chaos campaigns, I don't think they're the most popular in the general grand scheme of things, so this doesn't ultimately matter a ton, but I think it's as good of a start position as any. Kind of literally puts them in the center of the map, in the center of all the action. I don't think there's really anything more or less to add to that. And it's a suitable enough place where it's relatively close to kind of where Zanbaijin shows up, which I believe it spawns over here if you're playing as one of the other... if you're playing as one of the Champion of Chaos characters, I think it's this little segment here, but you can only teleport to it as those characters. So having him where he's basically right off of where the Lost City of Zanbaijin is, which of course where his story begins, I think works perfectly. But we'll talk about that a little more with Immortal Empires. Because on Immortal Empires, we have him starting in a new settlement they've added to the map, a new region, which is the Plains of Zanbaijin, which has been added to Kadatha as the province. So this is perfect for Tamurkhan. It means that if you are playing an Immortal Empires campaign with him, you are quite literally beginning your journey where his journey began. As far as what we know from Tamurkhan's saga, where his story quite literally begins with him showing up at a big epic battle to take control of Zanbaijin, and you have there's like a big champion for each of the dark gods, and he shows up and there's a big fight. He ends up, the body that he's inhabiting at the time, if I recall correctly, gets killed by the Slaanesh champion, and then Tamurkhan's maggot form breaks out of the body and eats his way into the Slaanesh champion, and he takes over the Slaanesh champion's body and controls his body for a while, because after he wins at Zanbaijin and he teams up, he basically gathers a bunch of hordes under him from the other warlords. He also teams up with the likes of Sile the Faithless. By this point, he's already acquired Khazak the Befouled, and they start making their way south until they reach the Mountains of Morn. And they basically push down into the Mountains of Morn until they are able to get to the southern pass that takes them near the Black Tower. So actually all the way down here. But as they're making their way through the Mountains of Morn, obviously they're trying to avoid the worst of the Ogre tribe. So they do manage to successfully avoid the likes of the over-tyrant Greasus Goldtooth, but they're not able to avoid everyone. And... they end up running into an big, nasty ogre tyrant. I want to say his name is, it's like Kraka Break Mountain, I think is like that. I know they say it in the video that we're going to be coming up to in a moment. And a big fight breaks out. Tamurkhan's body gets destroyed again. But this time, his maggot form leaps out, eats its way into the body of the ogre. And he takes over the body of an ogre tyrant, which is interestingly enough, what ends up dooming Tamurkhan in the grand scheme of things, because this body is so much more powerful than any other body he's had before, that he just completely falls in love with it. But at this point, he has to make his way towards the Chaos Dwarfs, because he wants to earn the favor of the Chaos Dwarfs to get their siege weapons, along with many of their arms and armor and all this other stuff that he could acquire. But in order to do that, he has to participate in a really big fight against the Chaos Dwarfs, because they're not willing to sell to him unless he can prove that he's a genuine threat. So the Black Fortress ends up having a really, really big fight against Tamurkhan, and it's a horrific display of it's just a massacre. Lots and lots of people die on both sides, but the Chaos Dwarves are satisfied. And so Drazoath the Ashen forges a pact with Tamurkhan and agrees to not only help him out and give him a bunch of goodies, but he'll even personally join his entourage to test out a bunch of new war machines. However, the thing that he needs from Tamurkhan in exchange is that they have to assist them in dealing with Omdra the Dread, who is a fucking huge nightmare dragon. Which nightmare dragons are essentially... If you think Elspeth von Draken's new dragon, which is the Carmine dragon, which is a dragon of death, is like, oh, that's a really scary death dragon. The nightmare dragon is like another tier above that. Omdra the Dread is absolutely colossal. And with Drazoath the Ashen and Tamurkhan throwing everything they have at her, they manage to wound her enough that she retreats back beneath the blasted wastes. They don't kill her, because killing her is not within their skill set. That's how insanely powerful that dragon was. To be fair, though, she was also a very skilled necromancer and was able to resurrect like legions of undead and all this other stuff. But after that, they push across the Darklands, and they go northways a bit until they manage to get to a pass that leads them through up into the Border Princes. So they don't go in front of Karasakarak. I want to say they go through Mad Dog Pass, which is closer to Black Crag and Carrick 8 Peaks. But they go up through here, and they avoid Barakvar and Karasakarak and make their way into the Border Princes, where a whole bunch of Border Prince fiefdoms get absolutely massacred. And they don't go through Blackfire Pass, because, interestingly enough, there were actually problems going on in Blackfire Pass. I want to say there was a big... I can't remember if it was a Beastman horde or if it was a Greenskin horde, but there was some kind of like massive army amidst some other, I think like flooding and some other issues that made it where the pass wasn't really a viable way through. So they end up going further west until they find Winter's Teeth Pass, if I recall correctly, which is a far less well-known pass, and ended up shooting through there, which takes them into what used to be Sunland, but is kind of nowadays part of like Wizenland and Averland, and then they push into Wizenland itself and make their break for Nuln, which of course leads to a whole bunch of shenanigans. But that is to say, what I really, really enjoy about Tamurkhan's start position is that you can play, if you like a more narrative experience, with Immortal Empires, you could play through essentially his entire experience, where your goal is to work your way south into the Mountains of Morn and push your way through the ogres until you arrive down at the very south of it, make an alliance or perhaps fight a battle against the Chaos Dwarves of the Black Fortress and either bring them to heel or forge a friendship with them, work your way across the Darklands until you reach the World's Edge Mountains, push through there against the Greenskin hordes and maybe the dwarfs until you're able to get into the Border Princes, smash whoever awaits you there, force your way up the Winter's Teeth Pass, and then take the final battle to the Empire. Most players are probably not going to do that. I think the vast majority of folks, myself included, are probably going to prefer to cut more of a straight line, to cut through the Mountains of Morn and just go like straight through kind of the southern Chaos Waste into Kislev and then fight your way south into the Empire. But it'll be interesting to see what path people take. But I think this is a delightful start position. It does have him very close to Archaon and Kolek Suneater, which is very, very interesting. Archaon is kind of right up here where this little this like fold in the road is, and Kolek Suneater is literally just a smidgen south of you by the Challenge Stone. But that makes for a really interesting start proposition. of with Archaon the Everchosen, do you try to forge an alliance with Archaon because he's the Everchosen? So under some versions of the story, you should owe fealty to him. He's someone you should be an ally with, someone you should be working with to bring about the ruination of everything. Or do you declare war against Archaon and prove yourself to be more powerful than the Everchosen? Show that Nurgle is the one that should be truly dominant, not this pretender, and punch him in the face and crush him beneath your feet in order to claim dominance for yourself. Kolek Suneater is almost certainly going to be a problem if they do it lore right, at least, because the version of Tamurkhan they're running with is, of course, you're getting him after he's taken over the Ogre Tyrant's body, because he has discovered that the power of ogres is much more to his liking than those of feeble humans. And what's interesting about that is because Tamurkhan is now an ogre, by that essentially logic, it is someone that Kolek Suneater would have serious problems with. Kolek Suneater, upon meeting Tamurkhan, would try to destroy him. There would be very little communication, if any. Like, the two probably would not exchange words. It would just immediately break into like a horrible battle between titans, with Tamurkhan up on Bubabelos and Kolek Suneater, because Bubabelos is one of the few mounts that exists within Warhammer Fantasy that's actually large enough to genuinely, stand a threat against Kolek Suneater. Is actually kind of in a similar classification as he is when it comes to just sheer size. But so that'll make for a really thematic, like very early showdown, and a threat that Kolek might not expect coming from the north. But I will say I'm excited they went with the ogre body as well, because that also gives you some really fun ideas about what to do when you encounter the ogre kingdoms. And if you're playing as the ogre kingdoms, what do you do with Tamurkhan? Because if you choose to be friendly to Tamurkhan, then through the allegiance system, you'll be able to hire plague ogres, which is going to be really exciting for ogre players. Similarly, if you're playing with Tamurkhan and you decide you want to have maybe a little less of a Nurgle-themed army, or a little less of a Mortals-themed army, but more of an ogre-themed army, then using allegiance points to hire, a whole bunch of like Stonehorns and Iron Fists and Lead Belchers and Iron Blasters could be a really, really fun way to kind of spice up your army beyond his Chieftain mechanics, which we're going to talk about in a minute. So that's all I kind of have to say on the start position stuff. At this point, we're going to go ahead and together watch through the little video that CA put out. Initially, I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to watch this, but they actually show off quite a bit about Tamurkhan in the gameplay showcase, as far as like his starting traits, his starting units, a lot of animations and stuff. So I think it'll be fun just to kind of go through it and get a hold up of what's all being done. So of course, all of this is still in development. I will say, I do like this video a lot, because I like that they really allow you to just get to see the devs and hear their thoughts on everything going on. That's cool. That's good.
Good work, Kaisk. I couldn't ask for a better right-hand.
Kaisk? No. Kazakh sounds way cooler to me. That's probably not how you pronounce it, though. Tamurkhan does look like a lot of fun. So I will say I'm going to be talking over this video the entire time. So if you're like, Sotek, shut up, I want to hear what they're saying, go watch the video by yourself. I'm not. Go watch it by yourself. If you're here, hopefully you're here because you want to hear what we're talking about.
None have served him quite like It is in this ogre tyrant's
I think he says the ogre's name.
Has puppeted many powerful and grotesque faces, but none have served him quite like Karaka Break Mountain.
Karaka Break Mountain. I was close.
Tyrant's decaying flesh that Tamurkhan seeks to gather a great horde and fulfill a twisted prophecy of disease and desolation.
Chaos.
Delusions of grandeur and questionable hygiene, my kind of legendary lord.
The editing of this is also very fun.
Tamurkhan's Immortal Empires campaign with ambitions of painting the world green.
Okay, so here we see that you start in the plains of Kadatha, and we say Tamurkhan's warhost emerges from the fallen city, the Maggot Lord intent on proving his supremacy as Nurgle's most powerful champion. Awesome, perfect. He leads the Maggot host. I really like that the color scheme is black and like putrid. Like, I feel like that's like a putrid white as opposed to like a dark green, but I'm not exactly sure. But here we can see your starting units are a unit of Plague Ogres, 2 units of Chaos Warriors of Nurgle with great weapons, a new unit of Pestigors, and a unit of Rot Beast Knights, which is perfect. You get access to Tamurkhan's Chieftains, which are all unique heroes. You also get 10% bonus campaign movement to all armies, which is awesome for, you know, the whole point is you're a big horde wandering around the world. Plus 10% recruitment health for non-demonic units. So recruitment health, of course, is that when you're hiring Nurgle units, you get them instantly, right? They don't have any recruitment time, but because you get them instantly, they don't start off at max health. They start at a lowered amount. So, but for Tamurkhan, when you get non-demonic starting units, they start with a little bit more of their maximum health already healed. So that's really good. So that means the time you spend from recruiting units to getting them to max health to throw yourself into the fray is much less. And then his personal effects are that, of course, he's Tamurkhan, so he's only wounded for 1 turn. So should Tamurkhan die for any reason, he comes back immediately. He also has a new ability called Nurgle's Favorite Son, which I'm sure we'll see in a bit, and you can see it's got his maggot form art, which is delightful. He gives immune to psychology to non-demonic units and +5 melee attack for non-demonic units.
Nurgle's favored.
Very cool.
We're kicking off in Kudatha, smack bang in the middle of the Northern Chaos Waste, and we're already running into some angry Norsca.
I will say that I really hope that they're going to be expanding the map sometime in the near future, along the northwest especially. It's something we'll talk about more, I think, in a like a later video, but it's like I would really love to get the Realms of Chaos into Immortal Empires, just kind of like open up the Realms of Chaos and allow you to wander around in them if you want. And also add, like, I really would love to see them heavily expand the Chaos Waste north of Grand Cathay.
Must be the smell. I'd apologize, but I'm not sorry. Because what's there to be sorry?
Oh my lord. Okay, so he starts with a lot of stuff. You can see his stat lines, which is more for, you know, people that want to talk about the specific stuff, but he starts with missile resistance, Mark of Nurgle. He gets Ogre He has Wall Breaker and Unbreakable at tier 1. Oh my lord. So he can just directly attack walls and tear them down. Doesn't need to go through gates. He'll just rip the wall down. But having Unbreakable at tier 1 is pretty spicy.
Worry about. Look at him. He's glorious. A solid set of starting abilities makes...
Here we go. Nurgle loves all his children, but those, however, fated to be his favorites are afforded even more grotesque gifts with which to better carry out his will. For 40 seconds, damn, gives you 24 melee defense and 20% ward save. That is pretty goddamn tanky. That is pretty goddamn tanky. And you get it every 2 minutes. That is not bad.
A formidable putrid melee force. Feast of the Maggot Lord is particularly interesting to me.
So each mortal body is but a vessel for which the Maggot Lord might slight, seeking to corrupt the fragile body of another. So this one is very, very interesting. So this is a really powerful ability. If I think we've already talked about it, where if Tamurkhan dies, of course, he makes it where he can't die, and he heals an insane amount of health over the course of 10 seconds, up to 40% of his health, and also just obliterates an enemy.
Because popping back up after dying to surprise and harass the enemy,
which is really cool. That's a very fun way to handle that.
Coupled with the Maggot Lord trait and a -3 to wound recovery time, and you're looking at a playstyle
very nice.
that speaks to my soul.
You can see there's some placeholder art, but that's fine. This is an in-development build.
We'll learn more about Tamurkhan's infectious inspiration
I'm
soon,
glad
but
they're
for
not
now,
hesitating. Oh, look at this new build tree. Look how nice it is. Okay, so I think the cyclical buildings have been regulated to different steps. So here we see this gives you recruitment cost and recruitment health reduction, so units that you recruit will start with more health, and they're also cheaper to recruit. And then if your growth is more than 200 per turn, or you have at least 5 so max population surplus, you get an additional recruit rank bonus. Here you get growth and Nurgle corruption, but you get additional Nurgle corruption to nearby places for growth.
As part of the Nurgle alterations,
oh my god, it's so nice. So military buildings are the only buildings that are cyclical. They also made it a lot easier to read, where it looks like if you're getting the same unit, they just slap a 2 on it instead of just doing like the same image over and over.
That it wasn't great for Nurgle's economy.
So
in-depth dive into the changes, check out the links below to read the blog.
So garrison buildings are how you get your heroes now. Cool.
And an inexhaustible supply of fertilizer. And with that in mind, let's go beat the fertilizer out of these Norse.
Ooh, the transitions are really good.
Chaos novel. The DLC is even named after it in Thrones of Decay. And in that, he builds this huge warband to try to destroy the Empire. And this time, maybe you can make him a bit more successful.
He comes with all these really exciting units that I think Nurgle players have been.
Oh, the Pestigors!
So yeah, he's definitely.
I'm so excited to see Pestigors, man.
Tamurkhan is
Rock
a really
Beast Nice
tanky
look
character
phenomenal.
who has a lot of weapon strength that he can bring to bear against single targets. Where he kind of falls down is when he's surrounded by many other kind of smaller targets that deal anti-large damage, or when he's shot at from a distance.
Definitely gonna watch out for shooting.
Rebuilt from the ground.
Oh, look at this tech tree, baby! So you got the faction tech tree and the military tech tree. So, okay, so just like the Chaos Dwarfs, you have a split tech tree. But I'm very happy with the size. Also, this is a really cool design. This kind of looks like a fly's head, sort of. It reminds me of a Nurgle symbol. 7 is the number of the Plague Lord. 7 are the ways which Nurgle infects mortal and immortal alike with contagion. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, I guess, strains.
Currently, it's all
and
about
then
Realms of Chaos experience, where we wanted it to be more dynamic. That works for every Nurgle character.
And then 1, 2, 3. So you got 7. You got 7 trees. And this is, of course, the classic Nurgle symbol, where you got the 3 circles around a center point.
We reworked elements of the Nurgle.
Okay, so I really like that you're using infections now in your tech tree. That is super duper nice. The fact that infections have use outside of disease is very, very nice. Also, this is a really nice plus 5% hit points, plus 10% healing cap, and plus 1 for all bounce spell uses.
The theme was there,
nice.
But maybe it just didn't.
Nice. God, thank God they're changing the tech tree. So we got Tamurkhan's skill. Reputed son of the Kurgan. Yep, heeding rumors that the favorite son of Nurgle is one of the fabled 4 sons of the great Kurgan. Mortal followers of Chaos bow to his command. Yep. So here you get 25% additional recruitment cost for non-demonic and plus 20% cows. Okay, so he is all about non-demons. Like, they really want you to be leaning super heavy non-demon if you're going to be leaning into his mechanics.
Feels like it loses a little bit of that fantasy for how we'd envisioned him.
God, he's
and
huge.
The Chieftains kind of carry where he can't quite handle himself.
Good work, Kask. I couldn't ask for a better right-hand thing. Okay.
Guys are
foul. We're pushing into the blood marshes, and our liquefying mouth plague is ravaging the withering fortress. That's a tongue twister. As part of the Nurgle changes,
are they going to show the new disease?
Should make more
look at it! It's so slick.
So you feel like a real pox.
Okay, so one of the things I really like is you get the plague's icon, and its name is determined after you have decided what the plague's going to be. So you'll see here that the plague is just a bunch of question marks and there's no symbol. But then once he locks in his 3 effects, you get liquefying lungs.
For us, I don't have enough infections right now. Dang.
So we talked about this with the blog.
Our latest conquest has put us in a position to recruit new hideous help.
Look at that, lieutenants! They look so cool!
Lord to the master of hosts, undeniable dominance. These festering heroes join our cause, bringing with them loyal soldiers from their own cultures.
Dude hasn't clipped his nails in about 100 years.
Nurgle's legendary hero has already embedded himself in our army and offers powerful units in exchange for a cost of dominance, which is earned through battles.
Okay, nice. So he gives you easy access to Rock Beast Nice tow dragons and chariots.
In turn, unlocking additional boons and powerful
various buffs. Yep, attrition.
Joining Kask is
to the armies.
Kate Zap.
Kargan the Crazed gives the army he joins 25% campaign movement after raising. Faction-wide, you get more from raising. He's got a bunch of different abilities. He gives you Aspiring Champions, Hellcannons, and Dragon Ogre Shaggots. Very nice. Grants perfect vigors for all units in his army. Awesome. And completely refills. Wow, he is all about campaign movement. Holy cow. Quetzat Findrak gives you bonus from sacking settlements faction-wide, gives more magic to his army, causes fear and terror, can overcast spells, cheaper, very nice, gives you both Famir units and Chaos Frost Dragons, also knocks enemy campaign movement down by 100% if you start in the same province as him, awesome, and you get Dance of Despair. Oh, that's the, I want to say that's the big shadow spell, if memory serves. And you increase his fealty by researching tech or beating elves. Interesting.
Grokma 3.
Mournhowl Gives stalk during all ambushes. Nice. So if you're ambushed, your guys are invisible, which is great. But if you're ambushing, your guys are invisible, which means you can get super goddamn close before they see you and react. Also nice. 10% chance to ambush or defense against ambush with his army. He has Death Frenzy as a bound spell. Very cool. He gives frostbite attacks for all non-Nurgle Chieftain units in his army. Very, very cool. So I'm guessing if you're stacking Chieftains, he's like, yeah, let's work together. Or wait, unless these are Nurgle Chieftains, in which case does it mean not the other Chieftains? The wording on that's a little confusing. He increases fealty through raiding and beating Lizardmen, Ogres, Beastmen, or Chaos Dwarfs. He gives you Skin Wolves, Feral Mammoths, and Chaos War Mammoths. And then you get Stalking Stance for his current army. That is insanely strong. So that's the Skaven stance where you can move and attack people and it counts as an ambush. So you have a fairly decent chance to immediately catch them in an ambush, which is amazing. And, Stalking Stance for all armies? Holy shit! That is amazing.
And
Gruckmer Threehorn increases raiding income faction-wide. Cool. Raiding Stance causes Nurgle corruption for his army. He gets Savage Dominion as a bound spell, so he can summon Cygors for free. Gives spell resistance to his army. Can give Beast Path Stance for his army. So Beast Path Stance is the underway stance for the Beastmen. So that allows you to move across, like, impassable areas or move further than you normally would be allowed to, or over mountains or whatever, because you're using the Beastman Paths as long as you don't get caught, in which case you'd have to fight a battle in the Beastman Paths. You can get it for all of your armies as well. Oh man, Nurgle. This guy is amazing if you really just like, if you really want to like maneuver over mountains and avoid a bunch of things. That's very cool. And you get Centaurs with throwing axes, Cygors, and Gorgons for his units.
Azar Doombolt. Oh, here.
Azar Doombolt, the Chaos Dwarf, gives all armies bonus looting for, settlements. What was Gruckmar's?
Gruckmer Freehorn.
Gruckmar. Oh, okay. So by purchasing Chieftain units, he gets lots of fealty, and he hates the undead. Neat.
And Azar Doombolt.
And Azar Doombolt also gets +1 recruit rank for all Chieftain units faction-wide. Very cool. He gets +20% explosive missile damage and +15% missile damage to all units in his army, which on Nurgle is kind of Nurgle is, I mean, it's not awful for Nurgle because you do have access to like Nurgle Marauders with throwing axes. You also have access to, of course, the Soul Grinder Nurgle guy, which has like the big cannon that he like pew 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 3 times. You've got the Death Head units, so your Exalted Plague Bearers, and then the Plague Drones with Death Head. So there's a fair amount of shooting units, but then of course you also get access to the Chieftain units with shooting attacks, which here you get Blunderbuss Chaos Dwarfs, Infernals with Fire Glaives, and a goddamn Dreadquake Mortar. Oh my god! In addition to things like the Centaurs with throwing axes. You also get Enable Replenishment Enemy Territory for his army. Alright, that's fair. His whole army is fully replenished. Okay, so, alright, so I feel like Ezar probably has the worst Chieftain abilities by far. Like, his Chieftain abilities seem kind of terrible compared to the other 5. But his personal buffs and the units he gives you access to, I think are by far the most powerful. So that's reasonably balanced. And he likes when you beat up Skaven Greenskins or Dwarfs, and he also likes when you loot settlements.
Heroes with their own merits, and we'll need to call on each of them
Very
to build
cool.
our unending
I
host.
really like
With
this.
their own petty grievances to satisfy,
I will
Tamurkhan's
say,
chieftains will influence the flow of our campaign.
We'll do a video on this probably on like Saturday maybe, but I am really seeing some strong potential for Nagash using this mechanic. I think if they're test driving this mechanic for Nagash, I think that would be very clever, where like his chieftains are like different kinds of undead characters. Like one's a necromancer, one's a vampire, one's a tomb king or a lich priest or whatever, and one's a vampire coast character. And then like you have maybe like a white and like a banshee. I don't know. or a ghoul king or whatever. Like, god
But
damn,
earning
this would
their
work
ultimate
so
devotion
well
will
for
be a bloody
Nagash.
affair, though well worth the effort. More chieftains info
Oh,
shortly,
okay,
but
so
for
you
now,
get quest
I
battles for
spy with
every
my
chieftain.
decaying
So that's
eyes
a lot of his
skaven
quest
ruins to the
battles.
south, and if I know my immortal empire's geography, we can expect Boris's Kislevice beyond the blood marshes. Skaven or
Kislev.
Ezar or
Whoa, what are you doing there,
We'll get to
Ezar?
both eventually, and Kargan's hell cannons are tempting, but the
was
coward
really
in me is
goofy.
crying out for some better ranged units. Let's recruit Ezar Doombolt into our merry band and use our remaining dominance to purchase a unit of Chaos Dwarf blunderbusses.
Wow, it's that easy. Okay.
With some angry dwarven engineering.
I like
behind us,
the
we'll make
cinematography
short
on
work
this.
of
This is really
Warfield
nice.
Warhost. Short work. I'm sorry.
I'm super excited for the Chieftain's mechanic because it allows
Short?
you to build a bit of a bonkers brigade. Lots of different
That's
flavors of chaos
super cool.
all
Man,
under
you're gonna be
the
able to make
banner.
such
It was
fun
inspired
custom
by his
armies.
story, which was uniting different tribes of chaos and flavors of chaos. So we thought it was important to bring to the game.
Tamurkhan's
Excellent.
campaign play
Excellent,
style has
excellent,
been
excellent.
roaming around the Warhammer map and bringing in all these different cultures
I'm-
and form of these
I'm
chieftains.
assuming
They battle these chieftains
this
all from
doesn't take
Tamurkhan's
away
own
from your
abilities
allied
to
recruitment
smash up
slots?
enemy armies and cause a lot of devastation.
Ugh. Boris, no! You got the Chaos Lord of
Tamurkhan Ice
Nurgle.
Court is still a
Nice
Nurgle
horns.
faction.
Oh, look at that! Look at that! Chieftain units. Okay, you can have up to 8 chieftain units in an army. That's a lot. So for 20 slots, your legendary lord takes up at least 1 slot, so 19 slots, and you're usually going to have 1 to 2 supporting heroes. So that knocks you down to like 16 to 17 slots, and then 8 of them can be chieftain units.
Extra units from different rosters are unique
And then-
from some of the ones we've done before. So no.
So you could have 8 chieftain units, and then you could have 4, I think, allied units. That's 12 units that are not from your normal roster.
Access to Chaos Dwarves mixed with Nurgle.
That is super
The Chieftain mechanic
kick-ass.
is about gaining the fealty of the other flavors of chaos, getting the best of them, and making the ultimate war host.
I'm really pleased with what I'm seeing
He's
here.
got toe dragons. What's not to love?
I'm super pleased with what I'm seeing
Toad
here.
dragons, the perfect remedy for backstabbing Grimgor. Whilst we were busy with Boris, Mr. Ironhide trampled our garden, yet I'm struggling to be upset. Ezar don't much fancy your kind, and he's been positively popping with excitement and overflowing with fealty with each volley of his Doombolt. We've got dominance growing out
Oh
of
my
our
God, it's got
boils,
so
and
much
we're gonna
dominance.
Use it to field a few Dreadquake mortars. I told you, Grimgor, we greenskins should stick together, but no.
He said a few, but he only
Look
gets
what
one.
you've made me do. Elsewhere, our Kislevice conflict.
Man,
Kargan
Nurgle
crazed
having
with love
access
for
to
Tamurkhan,
Chaos Dwarf
so
artillery
will
is
activate his
wild.
March of the crazed ability to refill his army's campaign movement.
Amazing.
And begin the siege of Karak Vrag ahead of
Okay, so
Tamurkhan's
they're all
sole
heroes.
arrival.
Okay, makes sense.
That's a
Pretty
lot
map.
of orcs, so we've split into 4 fronts. Kargan and our Chaos
Nurgle
Lord
siege
leading
towers
the
are
main
gorgeous.
bulk, and
Like,
across
they're
the way,
horrifying,
we've
but
got
they're
one small
gorgeous.
army and a pair of lonely siege engines. With Tamurkhan's reinforcements incoming, we've tricked Grimgor into leaving a section of his wall poorly defended.
Blah, blah, blah,
Our
blah,
plague
blah,
bearers
blah,
are
blah.
about to climb the wall, so we'll have our Chaos Sorcerer of Nurgle give them a little something to take the edge off any nasty swords they might encounter. It's a touch of
What
fantasy
ability
to
is
it.
that?
Chaos Sorcerer of Nurgle is a mortal spellcaster that brings the laws of death and the laws of
So he
living
does-
to the
he
Nurgle
doesn't
roster in a
look
nicely
like
armored package.
That, if I understood the article
There he
we
is.
talked about
Tamurkhan joins the
recently
party, so we'll
correctly,
link our cavalry units up with the main bulk.
he has a slightly
Renegades are
different
down,
appearance
our
now.
Bile Trolls will be
Oh,
first
look at the
through
Bile
breach.
Trolls!
Bile Trolls are a Nurgly twist on the idea of a Chaos Troll.
Okay, what makes them special?
They have this ability which allows them to debuff enemy melee defense, which allows all of your Nurgle units to
Nice.
really hit a lot more reliably.
Nice. Debuffing
Walls
melee
mounted.
defense is always great. I think we talked about that
Gates
during the
coming down.
vlog.
The plague can be slowed, but
Maybe?
never stopped.
Yeah. But hey,
Who
lowering
better
melee
to spread
defense is
Nurgle's
great.
gift than Kask the Befouled.
I know
Case
they're. I
the
doubt
Befouled
they're going
is
to
this
right at the
kind of
beginning here, but I
rotting
really
champion
hope
of
they
Nurgle.
give Throg
He rides
access
a
to
rock
those
beast, you don't
through
get
like
him on
a
foot.
special the.
He's
I-
fast,
his
he's
unique
agile,
lair
he's
really should
not
give
what you'd
access
expect
to
from
like
a Nurgle
all sorts of
character,
crazy stuff.
which makes
Oh,
him
Kazakh!
interesting.
With chieftains in mind, I wonder how Kargan's doing. As you were, Kargan, good work. I'm gonna go play with the Toad Dragons.
The
Toad dragons are
Dragon
fun.
is the big bad beastie for the Nurgle roster. It excels at dealing with large.
So we've got the
infantry
Mutilated
and
Vortex
smashing
Beast
through the
for
enemy battle lines.
Zinch. We've got the Toad Dragon for Nurgle.
Whilst Tarkin and the
Really
Toad
hope we
Dragons
get to
break
see
their
something
lines.
for Slanesh and Korn as
Ezra
well.
and his
Like the
blunderbuss
Slaughter
pop
Brute
up
for
the stragglers.
Korn and maybe like the
Deploy some of our
Basilisk or the
heaviest
Chimera
hitters.
for Slanesh would
The
be great.
regiments of
I think the
renown for
Basilisk
Nurgle
would make the
are
most sense.
The Rotting Riders, who are a unit of Rot Knights.
Woo! Very
Angels of
vibrant
Decay,
green.
which are a unit of Plague Drones.
Oh, the Angels of Decay! So, random fun fact, they are a end times unit.
The Angels of Decay, which are a
So
unit
they are,
of Plague Drones.
for those of you that care about your little personal lore fluff, they are the personal Plague Drone guard of Kugoth Plaguefather, which is super fun.
And Noxbringer, who is a Soul Grinder.
Oh, alright, cool. I would have gone with Stem Cutter,
My favourite
personally.
out of these regiments of renown are the Rotting Riders.
These Kurgan horsemen have followed Kask since the beginning, but they were once esteemed knights.
Okay, so they're Kurgan as well,
Reinforcements, eh?
just like Kask is. I like
I
Kazakh
think
more.
not.
Wait, what was that? Pandeminicum?
Reinforcements, eh?
Pandeminicum. Pestilential and unstable Nurglings flow from the Grandfather's realm, blasting and cavorting amongst the foe. Oh my god, is it just a rain of Nurglings? 30 projectiles? Oh my god, please show it. Please show it. Nurglings! Oh my god, look at that damage! Oh my god, you can just make it rain Nurglings? That's delightful. It looks fun. It looks god, I'm super down for this. This looks like a good time. This looks like a very good time. This cinematography is so stupid fun to look at. And wabam!
Bubelos feeds
Ooh.
on a buffet of orcs.
He
More
ate that,
fertilizer
dude.
For the garden.
Gross.
Our war host grows with our fealty and begs the question: who do we recruit next?
The Chieftains seem like a very, very fun mechanic. Like when you do different playthroughs, it'll still be enjoyable. Did he just pull that maggot off of himself and eat it? Oh, I love the Festigors. But what I will say is that Chieftains seem like so much fun because even when you're playing, okay, so the video's over, which great job. This is excellent showcase. Like I thought that was phenomenal. They showed off mechanics, they showed off gameplay, they showed off like various new effects and rules. They also had like some really fun little cinematic goofs and showed off some kill animations and stuff. Excellent work, boys. Excellent work. I will say that I think it looks pretty damn phenomenal, to be honest. And the Chieftain mechanic to me seems so awesome because different playthroughs, you're going to be able to get the Chieftains in different order and build different kind of themes with them. Because like maybe one playthrough, you're like, oh, I'm going to focus with Kazakh and go more of like a classic Warriors of Chaos build. Or maybe I'm going to focus Grukbar Threehorn and like really lean into the Beastman aspect. And trying to have like lots of Pestigors and Trolls, Giants, and like really theme myself around that aspect of it. Or maybe, you know, on another playthrough, you'll go with Fetzat Fimdarak and focus very heavily on your Famir stuff. Seems really, really fun. I also will say, I can't help it. Like, I know I personally find it annoying when people do it, and yet I myself do it in spades. That I can't help but think of what this theoretically could mean for the future as far as like mechanics go and things we might see. Because like, God, I could really see this working super duper well for Nagash. But please let me know what y'all think about Tamurkhan down below, about the Chieftains and the new mechanics, his new army abilities, all of his various traits. Is there anything that jumps out at you? Is there anything you're particularly excited about? Anything you're particularly worried about? Anything that you think they like maybe they should have done that they didn't? Please let me know. I'm super excited to get more into this with y'all. I can't wait until we can start doing some hands-on things. But till then, please stay safe out there, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you around. Thanks for watching.